Dear guests, we warmly welcome you to the event, Seminar on Bureau of Indian Standards, Regulations and Landscape. To begin today's event, may I invite Her Excellency Ms. Nagma Mohammad Malik, Ambassador of India to Japan, to deliver the inaugural remarks.
Shri Shiva Prasad Gude, Director, Bureau of Indian Standards from New Delhi. Shri Abhinay Kapoor, Partner, KPMG India. Shri Rajiv Sharma, Senior Advisor, KPMG India. Other distinguished representatives from KPMG, friends from Japanese and Indian industry. Let me bid you all a very warm welcome to the Embassy of India today, and Let me express my happiness to see you all here in numbers to attend this seminar on this very important topic of regulations related to the Bureau of Indian Standards. I can see that the participation is good, and it shows that there is interest in Japanese companies that want to invest in India. I will just speak briefly about uh, all that India is, not all that India is doing, some of the important things that India is doing, some elements of the vision that Prime Minister Modi has for India, and about my discoveries in my very recent visit to India and a couple of cities in addition to Delhi just a few weeks ago. When we speak of India, today we speak of a nation in confident motion, an economy that is the world's fifth largest, a democracy of 1.4 billion people, producing, innovating, and welcoming partners. Over the past decade, India has undergone a remarkable economic transformation, and today it stands among the fastest growing large economies of the world. Um, Whether it is in the area of reforms in the area of taxation, or production linked incentive schemes, or the increase in FDI caps, or labor code reforms, India has boarded the Reforms Express to make sure that the ease of doing business improves for foreign companies. Government of India has also allocated US dollars 132 billion for infrastructure development, improving logistics, transportation, and connectivity. 11 Japanese industrial townships across 8 states of India provide dedicated and familiar surroundings and dedicated ecosystems for Japanese companies. India offers a rapidly expanding manufacturing ecosystem, one of the world's most advanced digital public infrastructures, and a young and skilled workforce with a very large number of STEM graduates. India's well known Unified Payments Interface, or the UPI, processes over 21 billion transactions per month, which is more real time digital transactions than the rest of the world combined, demonstrating to you the ease with which Indians have adopted this technology, and showing also to you how streamlined and predictable many of the business transactions in India are today, where there is no scope for cash payments, no scope for slippage, good tax compliance, etc. A host of hidden benefits connected to our UPI payments model. These developments are opening new opportunities for global partners, and Japan has long been one of India's most trusted and valued economic partners. Today, around 1,500 Japanese companies operate across 5,200 business establishments in India, spanning sectors such as automobiles, electronics, engineering, chemicals, logistics, and services. In recent years, the India Japan Special Strategic and Global Partnership has expanded rapidly. The India Japan Annual Summit of 2025, held between Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi and the then Prime Minister of Japan, PM Ishiba, has given a strong strategic direction to this economic partnership. Under the vision of the two prime ministers, Japan is committed to mobilizing 10 trillion yen, or around $68 billion, in investment into India over the next decade. India Japan collaboration is expanding in key areas such as digital technology, supply chains, defense, semiconductors, clean energy, and more. The recent entry by Japan's big three banks, I'm sure all of you here must be well informed about it, into the Indian finance and banking sector demonstrates both the potential for expansion in India and the profit for the Japanese in this sector. And if I may say so, the trust that Indian regulators repose in Japan and Japanese banks, Japanese companies, because after all, these the areas that these three banks have entered into, many of them deal with many of them deal directly with the Indian public, extending home loans to them. So that is the degree of trust that we have in Japanese banks, that we can trust them to deal fairly with our people, uh, uh, to meet their unmet need for home loans, and for all kinds of other requirements. One of the companies I recall, one of the non-banking financial companies I recall, is involved in buying rural agricultural equipment, extending loans for farmers and rural people to buy agricultural equipment. So that's the kind of trust that we have demonstrated in Japan. One of our priorities is to help Japanese companies, especially small and medium enterprises, to identify credible and capable Indian partners. This is an important reason why this embassy organizes seminars such as today's, where we hope that you will get important updates about India, but also that you will get a chance to network with each other and to discover more about which are the kind of companies that are doing well, which are the reputed good companies, and who really have a good presence and a good idea about things. Through continued discussion and focused support, we hope to help more Japanese companies establish themselves in India and to integrate themselves into India's growing ecosystem, and to take advantage of the big market, and to take advantage of the possibilities of expansion, growth, and profit that India offers today. Friends, in recent months, I've had the opportunity to engage extensively with members of the Japanese business community. And I've always met with a whole lot of positivity among Japanese companies about India. As you know, the Japan Bank for the JBIC, the Japan Bank for International Cooperation, has consistently shown in polls in the last 15 years that Japanese companies think that India is the most promising foreign investment destination. I visited recently, during the course of my visit to India, Bangalore, which is in a sense our aerospace capital, and I visited Ahmedabad, where at Dholera, next to Ahmedabad, India's first semiconductor fab has already begun its establishment, and we hope that it will be active in operation next year. Several important and trusted Japanese companies are associating themselves with Tata to establish this semiconductor fab. And finally, in Rajasthan, which is among the best known Japan industrial townships. And everywhere, when I met with the people in the state governments, the chief ministers, the chief secretaries, they would all very proudly tell me, rattle off the numbers that, oh, we are hosts to 500 Japanese companies, or we are hosts to more than 300 Japanese companies. And they say to me that, "Madam Minister, don't worry about anything. The Japanese companies know us, and we know the Japanese companies. You're newly arrived," when I would translate related to Japan. So, there is that. Great pride in being hosts to large numbers of Japanese companies. There is commitment to keep the Japan industry townships flourishing and comfortable and able to pay progress. There is this commitment. Chief Minister of Rajasthan told me that he's in the process of setting up a new um, economic zone in Bandikui on the Mumbai highway. And he said that, if Japan is interested, I can certainly make another Japan Industrial Township there. Earlier in the year, we had the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh here, Yogi Adityanath ji. He too said that he was very willing to set up a Japan Industrial Township, provided that he saw interest there. So at the level of the state governments, I have seen for myself how much willingness there is, and how much trust there is, and how much of an open-armed welcome there is for Japanese companies. Um, in diverse sectors, cutting edge new ones like aerospace and semiconductors and new and renewable energy, but also in the more traditional sectors like pharmaceuticals and gems and jewelry and all the rest of it. There is an enduring idea of how Japanese and Indian companies really are really complement each other, and how our talents and your expertise and our market and your outward reach, they really are a good fit. So I hope your seminar is fruitful and productive. I wish you a good and interesting afternoon. Thank you very much. Arigato gozaimasu.
Thank you, ma'am. May I now request Mr. Siva Prasad Gude, Director BIS, New Delhi, to offer his remarks.
Thank you, Your Excellency Nagma Malik, ma'am, Ambassador to India to Japan. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to everyone. Am I audible? Yeah, I am Shiv Prasad Gude from Bureau of Indian Standards, New Delhi, India. Today, I'll briefly present the regulatory and conformity assessment landscape of BIS in India. The key point is BIS plays a central role in ensuring product quality, safety, and consumer protection in India. Next slide, please. Is the national standards body established under the BIS Act 2016 for harmonious development of the activities in the area of standardizations, certification of goods, and incidental matters there connected to. Next slide, please. This is India's regulatory ecosystem for compliance with standards. The compliance to Indian standards is basically voluntary in nature unless it is notified with compulsory certification by the Government of India. The BIS Act, Section 16 of the BIS Act 2016 empowers the central government to make the standard compliance mandatory under the grounds of protection of human health, animal, and plant, safety of the environment, national security, or for unfair trade practices. To ensure these compliance systems are BIS has notified different conformity assessment schemes. I'll just briefly cover in the subsequent slides. Next slide, please. These are the important 10 schemes notified by the BIS through the BIS Act 2016. These different schemes have different purposes. The scheme 1 is the most popular one, the ISA mark scheme, and the scheme 2 is for the registration scheme. As we can see, different schemes have different logos to show these products are conforming to these respective standards, and the conformity of the scheme is being notified in the quality control orders. Next slide, please. This is an overview of the current technical regulations, what we call it quality control orders in India. Currently, it's about 142 quality control orders have been notified. Roughly, it is all together. This is I'm talking about all the schemes: Scheme 1, Scheme 2, and Scheme 4, and Scheme 10. Next slide, please. In this previous slide, please. One point I wanted to tell you is one horizontal QCO has been notified. Previous slide, please. Yeah, this is horizontal QCO is notified for the electrical for the safety of household, commercial, and similar electrical appliances quality control order. This is scheduled to be implemented from the 1st October 2026. Next slide, please. This is the overview of the scheme 1. Scheme 1 is basically based on the scheme type 4 of ISO IEC 17067, that is International Conformity Assessment Standard on the international conformity schemes. The scope of this scheme 1 is a license is been given or permitted to apply standard mark granted by the Bureau. It involves an initial attestation like production process and testing capability verification through the site visit. Wherever the manufacturer is there, site visit will be paid there to check the manufacturing testing capabilities and the competency of the people, of the quality control people involved in it. Sample will be drawn and will be tested in the laboratory for ensuring it is conforming to the respective Indian standard. And then periodically validity gets increased after the grant of license. Then periodically surveillance assessment is also carried out to have a check on the products producing by the manufacturer is continually compliant to the respective Indian standards. Next slide, please. This is very important to the Japanese team for the certification of the foreign manufacturers in the scheme 1. The scheme 1 process is same as domestic manufacturers. It is foreign manufacturers can also obtain a BIS certification. Process is very similar with a small additional requirements like it need to have an AAR. It is authorized Indian representative representing the Japanese company in this instance, and then performance bank guarantee for online and the registration of online consignments in the Manak Online portal. There is a portal devised for the certification activity that is called Manak Online. That is important for the international manufacturers in exporting products to the India, so that it helps maintain the traceability and accountability of the product being imported to India. Next slide, please. This is a workflow diagrammatically is shown in this graphical view. The scheme 1, option 1 is a normal procedure, and then offline application submission, and currently we are going to the online portal. We are soon going to be alive on this online portal. Then the application gets the desktop scrutiny. Any communication is required to be made for the submission of documents will be informed over the email, and the nomination of inspecting officer from the Bureau of Indian Standards, then followed by preliminary inspection on mutual agreement date, testing of the samples in the factory as well as for the drawing samples for independent lab in India. And then if it is conforming to the respective Indian standards and the product, the manufacturing completeness is there, testing facilities available there, then grant of license is granted for the manufacturer. Usually it takes around 180 days, but subjected to visa clearance, inspection fees, submission by the manufacturer, travel arrangements required to be made, and then submission of the samples to India. So these are the different parameters affecting the timeline of the certification. And then this is shortly in a given 10 minutes I could cover these. Next slide, please. Thank you. Thank you for your attention. I'll be happy to take any questions from the audience.
Thank you, Mr. Gude. Now we will have a presentation on BIS by Mr. Abhinay Kapoor, partner KPMG India, and Mr. Rajiv Sharma, senior advisor KPMG India, ex-DDG BIS India. Please welcome Mr. Abhinay Kapoor on stage.
Thank you, Ambassador Madam, Navedji, the entire staff of Embassy of India in Tokyo for having us here. And thank you to all the attendees for taking out time to attend this seminar today. The task which has been given to me is to set the context of this presentation on BIS. But I would like to take this time also to give you a reassurance that a lot has been said and spoken about BIS. A lot of people believe that this is a difficult task which cannot be achieved, but we take responsibility. In the next 30 minutes. We will try and simplify it for you, taking you through the entire process. And hopefully, by the end of these 30 minutes, you will walk out with more confidence that this process is something you can complete in a time bound manner, and it should continue your business in India without having any direct impact. So, a lot of times you've heard that BIS is something which India is doing, but let me assure you that BIS is something which, while India has introduced now, many countries across the globe have been following such quality standards, be it Europe, be it America. In Europe, you must have been undergoing C certification. In India, Scheme 2 is very close to what you do in C certification. So we are trying to implement in India a policy which is aligned globally. In fact, as a part of commitment of India to WTO, any new such regulation which is coming in public, we are notifying the WTO. All countries are given 60 days time to raise any issues, and only after that this regulation is implemented. After this WTO notification, the ministry, the line ministry, which can be Ministry of Chemicals, DPIT, Ministry of Commerce, or Ministry of Heavy Industries, notifies specific list of products on which the mandatory certification will apply. It does not apply to all the products. There are very specific products which we need to be aware of. If we are supplying those products into India, it is only then we need to go for the certification process. Otherwise, it is business as usual for us. We don't have to really worry about BIS. So we need to be mindful of such notifications and keep mapping our each SKU for an impact from a BIS perspective. And BIS is the body which has been given the responsibility to implement this on the ground. It is the body which formulates the quality standards. It is the body which scrutinizes the application you submit. The auditors are appointed from within the BIS who travel to your factory if you're applying under Scheme 1, and they are the people who will finally grant the license. And they are very approachable. You can reach out to them, you can meet them, you can email them, and you will be getting proper, clear responses. But getting a hand holding support in this process is essential, and we should keep that in mind. Now, India in the early part of this decade has issued multiple quality control orders, and that's why the whole story of BIS started and peaked. That was primarily to cut down a lot of low quality imports into India and to ensure that only quality products are embedded in the system as a raw material, as an intermediate product, and only quality finished products are released in the Indian market. Now, this is in the earlier part of the decade, and this was tightening of the system. But now, as things have become more aligned, government is also reducing the number of quality control orders and the products which are covered. Last year, multiple quality control orders were withdrawn. A lot of impact of the on the chemical and textile industry has been loosened. There are no longer requirement on licensing on these industries. However, steel and some consumer products continue to be within the requirement of BIS. So we have to be mindful to continuously check whether this is an application on us or whether we are beyond the ambit of this regulation. Now, a lot of people are seeing this particular regulation as a challenge, while some we already know see this as an opportunity. We know a lot of companies in India who, because of this regulations, are acquiring production facilities in India so that they can make in India and supply from India. People are consolidating manufacturing facilities so that multiple manufacturing facilities do not have to undergo this process. Focused manufacturing facility which is targeting to supply to India only gets to manufacture. So a lot of reorganization is happening in the business which was not happening organically. BIS is now doing this inorganic push to the industry, and we see a lot of positive developments as a push of this requirement. So coming back to what I said, while this may look at as an onerous compliance, it is not. And in the next part of the submission, my colleague will take you through how this process is run, each step, and wherever there are any challenges, how do we mitigate them. So with this, I'd call my colleague, Mr. Rajiv Sharma, to take us through the next part of the presentation. Thank you so much.
A very good afternoon to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. As Mr. Abhinay and earlier than that, Mr. Gude explained about the procedures related to the BIS certification. It all starts from WTO, the World Trade Organization, which facilitates the global trade. They are the bodies which facilitate the principles of global trade. And among the principles of global trade, there are two basic premises. One, that the standard, see, the trade has to be based on the standards. Each country must have standards which are harmonized with the international standards. And in India, BIS has taken a responsibility to harmonize majority of its product standards with the international ISO and IEC standards. Another requirement of the WTO is that not only the standards, but also the conformity assessment procedures must also be harmonized with the international schemes. So as Mr. Gude said, that there is a standard 17067 which prescribes the various schemes or various types of certification schemes. And BIS in India is the custodian of the certification activities, and exactly the same schemes which are applicable anywhere else in the world, they are the ones which are being followed in India. So when we talk of a quality control order, we must look at two or three things very important. First, what are the standards which are addressed in that quality control order? What are the standards? And what is the quality or the conformity assessment scheme applicable on that product? And the third, what is the date of implementation of that quality control order? If we find that our product, the product which we are manufacturing, is one of the quality control order listed products, and the date of implementation is also there, then it is our responsibility as a responsible manufacturer to make sure that our product meets the requirements of Indian standard, has the proper certification from BIS before it is shipped from Japan to India. Because not having the required certification from BIS with respect to the products covered in the quality control order will mean that the market access to the Indian market will probably not be smooth. It will be discontinuous. It will not be possible for you to ship your product into the Indian market till you have the valid BIS certification. So we are talking of the main product certification schemes. Mr. Gude also touched about it. There are product certification schemes. There are basically 4 for products. As he said, there are 10, but for product certification, there are 4 certification schemes. Scheme 1 for the domestic manufacturers, Scheme 1 for the foreign manufacturers with slight variations. And then there is a Scheme 2, which is a registration scheme, as it is similar to the CE marking scheme of Europe. And the Scheme 4 is the certificate of conformity scheme. So whenever a quality control order is issued, it specifies one of these schemes. We'll briefly touch upon all these schemes. Another scheme which you may have Another scheme which you must have heard of is the Scheme 10, which is the Omnibus Technical Regulation Scheme of the BIS. Omnibus Technical Regulation basically means it is for those products which have safety concerns related to the machinery. So it is safety of machinery. So under that scheme, which was notified by the government in 2024, 20 categories of products along with their related HSN codes was prescribed. And that scheme was supposed to get implemented with effect from 2025. And subsequently in 2025, that scheme got further extended. And under the recent reform measures of the Government of India through the GOBA committee recommendations, it has been decided that the scheme should be closed for the time being. That means the scheme has kind of been withdrawn, and if it has to be issued at a later date with some modified forms or with the new requirements, it will be notified once again to the WTO, and only after that the compliance will be brought into mandatory certification. So at the moment, this was a big change in the regulatory regime in India, the Omnibus Technical Regulation. But for the time being, you can understand, you can take it from me that that scheme has been withdrawn. It is not a requirement now. Whenever it appears in the future legislation or the future quality control order, we will keep you posted on that. So when we talk of the comparative analysis of the various certification schemes, though the scheme 1, which is related to domestic as well as for the foreign manufacturers, both are scheme 1s, both are under the scheme 1, but there is a slight variation. Scheme 1 for the domestic manufacturer would mean that auditor from BIS would visit the factory within India, and the certification is processed based on the sample testing and the satisfactory conducted in the factory in India. Whereas in the foreign manufacturers certification scheme, the slight variation is there that the auditor from BIS will naturally visit the factory location wherever it is there in the world. In your case, it will be factory location in Japan, and he will carry out a factory audit. During that factory audit, a sample will be drawn which will be representative of the scope of your license, and it will be tested in an approved laboratory in India. And after the factory audit is found satisfactory and compliance, and also the sample is found testing in the testing carried out by the Indian approved laboratory, both of them are taken into consideration while taking a decision on your certification. And while granting certification, another important requirement for a foreign manufacturer's certification is the requirement of AIR. AIR, as you would understand, is the authorized Indian representative. Because we are a Japanese factory and we are doing business in India, there is a requirement that we should have a representative in India who takes the responsibility or the accountability of the product being sold in the Indian market. So whenever as a manufacturer you need to have a BIS certification, it is your responsibility to identify the right person who you will nominate as an authorized Indian representative. That will be through an agreement. If you have your own subordinate office in India, that can serve as an authorized Indian representative, or you can enter into an agreement with a person in India to take responsibility of your production products in India. So that is the main difference. Having an authorized Indian representative in India is the main difference between what a domestic manufacturer needs to comply and what a foreign manufacturer needs to comply. And apart from that, there are other some requirements which I will touch in the subsequent slides. As also told that it is not indiscriminate, that not all products which are there for which the standards are there, not all of these products get under mandatory certification. It is through a very well-defined system through which the products which have direct impact on health, safety, environment, unfair trade practices, national security, all these concerns, only when the product falls under the category of one of these, then the product is considered to be part of the QCO. So now the requirement is that because you are a manufacturer in Japan and you are manufacturing a product, how do we understand what regulatory requirements are applicable in India? So that is a question I think which we must address now. Because you are a manufacturer of that product, the first step for you would be to identify whether there is a relevant Indian standard related to that product. Relevant Indian standard, how would you identify that? Because you know the nature of your product, it will be easier for you to visit the BIS website. And then there is a tab known as Know Your Standards. And if you can enter that tab and put in the keywords related to the product which you manufacture, it will help you in identifying the right Indian standard which is applicable on that product. But if there is still a difficulty because the name of the product being used locally or may not coincide with internationally the nomenclature or the standard notification of that product, then it will be better that you consult a BIS official. BIS officials are reachable through email and phone. We can talk to them and tell them our issue, that this is the product we are manufacturing. We want to understand what standards are applicable on that product. Once we have kind of identified the product standard, also better to cross-check the related product manual, because each standard which comes under certification also has a product manual. That will give you a reassurance that this product has this particular standard and what are the additional requirements related to certification with respect to that product. Yes, and of course there are consultants, there are guides available who can guide you in the entire process of identifying the right kind of standard. You can make use of any of these optional possibilities to identify the right standard which is applicable on that product. Now we have come to a conclusion. Now this product has a particular standard. This product is also covered in the mandatory quality control order of the Government of India. And now we want to know whether there is a quality control order applicable on our product. After identifying what standard is there, now we want to know whether the quality control order is applicable on that product. So same procedure once again. It is better to visit the BIS website because there is a complete listing of the quality control orders along with the name of the standards and the name of the number of the standards. And you can go to that website and identify now this product has what applicable quality control order. There is a database which is available on the BIS website and that can be made use of. Alternatively, to make it a double check and a cross check, you can also write an email to BIS and confirm your findings. And then there are subject matter experts available in the market who can support you in this identification of the related standard and the quality control order. Because we are doing an international trade and we are supplying our products in India, we need to make sure that we comply with the regulations of India at that time. I will not go into details in this slide because this has been touched by Mr. Shiva Gude. But this talks of the various stages under which the processing of license is considered by BIS. After you submit your applications, what are the stages which are taken up for considering the grant of license? Basically, and it has the timelines related to each and every stage. You can refer to the slides which have been made available to you. But this is the complete sequence of actions which are taken by BIS till the final grant of license. And the normal timeline which you can expect for grant of license is about 8 months. And this is the breakup of the timelines. But one key factor which you should consider to avoid any delay or leakages is that your documentation needs to be complete, because most of the time the delay takes place because the documentation which is provided by you along with the application is incomplete. And if there is a query received from BIS asking you for certain clarifications, that has to be promptly addressed. That has to be provided in a timely manner. And once the queries are resolved, then the BIS will request you for fixing the date for audit and inspection. And you should express your immediate readiness for arranging that factory audit to take place. And then there is a slight delay is possible because the laboratory to which the sample will go for testing may already have certain samples in the queue, and you will be part of that queue. Only when your sample gets the right priority, they will take it up for testing. So these are the possible reasons by which certain delays may take place, but they also give you a guidance on what to avoid, what steps to avoid, so that the delays don't take place. So these slides are available with you, but they will provide you a ready reckoner of what kind of documentation is required, what kind of technical documentation is necessary, what are the requirements related to the authorized Indian representatives, and what are the legal and financial concerns. Legal and financial, I'll touch upon only two things here. Indemnity bond is required. Performance bank guarantee is required. This is an additional requirement which is not there for the domestic manufacturer. It is there for the foreign manufacturers. 10,000 USDs for a performance bank guarantee for the entire duration of the validity of the license has to be required. This is one of the requirements. This is one of the legal and financial requirements. And as I told you that because doing it right the first time can lead to several timely benefits, so we must be very careful on avoiding certain non-conformities. So non-conformities during the factory audit, when the BIS officer goes to a factory for audit, these are the kind of non-conformities which are normally observed. These are again related to the quality management, the testing and the calibration. The the actual physical verification points out that certain test equipments which you mentioned in your application are not physically present, or the calibration, there are certain details which are missing, or the manufacturing process which you declared at the time of application is different from what there is in the factory in the physical position. Inadequate raw material inspections, insufficient work instructions for the operators, no validation records. These are the kind of non-conformities which are observed during the factory audit, and we must take suitable actions to prevent such kind of non-conformities to take place. Documentation and traceability, incomplete batch, because whatever batch you manufacture or the lot you manufacture has to be completely identified and traceable to the records. And it is very important to maintain a traceability record of each and every production details which you manufacture. So these are some of the kind of non-conformities which are observed when we go for the factory audits, and we must take suitable actions to avoid such kind of non-conformities. Yeah, this is the important thing. This is what is very important for you to understand. Authorized Indian representative, he has to be a Indian resident and should be a graduate by qualification, and he cannot be AIR for multiple competing organizations, and should be capable of understanding and ensuring the compliance to BIS, because he is taking your legal responsibility of your production. He's not just a figurehead. He's not just a dummy. He is taking responsibility of the technical and other legal aspects related to your product, like for example, product recall, like for example, the what you call compensation in case the product fails in the Indian market. So he's taking the legal responsibility of a product in India. He has to be technically competent and sound person to take all these responsibilities. And his local presence and compliance oversight, that is his basic requirement. Yeah, see, the BIS regulations have recently been amended, and now the license is granted for a period initially up to 5 years, and renewal also up to a period of 5 years. Though this requirement for the foreign manufacturers is yet to be triggered, but it is not far that these will be implemented proactively. As Mr. Good also said, that we are moving away from the paperwork, lot of paperwork, to most of the systems being online. So this is one aspect which will be deeply impact the Japanese industries doing business in India. So I would like to stop here, because most of these things are there in your presentation, which has been provided to you, and some of them have earlier been covered by Mr. Gude. But I would like to now invite Mr. Tagaki-san for making the complete summary of the presentation which we have. Thank you so much, and have a great evening.
皆様、こんにちは。KPMG の高木と申します。本日はお忙しい中、お集まりいただきどうもありがとうございました。で、私、今、暑さ監査法人というところにおりまして、インドディスクというのをさせていただいております。で、去年までですね、インドに駐在しておりまして、大体3年ちょい、インドにおりまして、私自身はですね、チェンナイというところにおりまして、で、そこから日系企業のですね、皆様方のご支援というのをさせていただいていたというところでございます。で、駐在中もですね、このBISという話がですね、ちょっとスライド飛んでませんけれども、まとめのとこ見ていただければと思いますけれども、BISですね、非常にやはり皆様方関心事でですね、特にサプライチェーンにすごく影響してしまうということで、これどうなるのかと。で、今後の見通しも含めてですね、かなり関心事として皆様方捉えていたというふうに理解しております。で、特にインド企業のみならず、日本の企業がですね、インドに物をですね、輸入するときに、この規格というのを取らないと輸入できないということで、そもそも自社のですね、製品が対象なのかならないのかというのがですね、非常に関心事で、かつ複雑でちょっと分かりづらいと。で、先ほどラジーブさんの方から説明ありましたけれども、BISのですね、ホームページの読みづらい、曖昧だ。個別にですね、やはり確認していく必要があるということで、各社ですね、これ、どこまでが対象で、
by far
というのが判定しづらいというところが結構ございました。
do the action. And in this summary sheet, we put
私の感覚ですと、まだこれから適用の準備をしていくという企業様も大多数ありまして、そもそも実際にで
companies
すね、
will be preparing
としている製品というのが適用になるのかならないのかというのをですね、当てはめしていくと。
under the scope or not is something that I think you are concerning, I believe. And also Japan's companies, especially with manufacturing companies, many companies are already in India, but so as Japanese companies, this is one of the huge concerns. And also we have the commerce people and the JETRO and also the people from embassy, so we can work together to support this. And OTR that mentioned. So right now it's actually withdraw for them temporarily. So uh, so I so I think that's encouraging momentum. And also, what's going to happen in the future is it's very difficult to understand. So we have the expert from KPMG. So Rajib is actually working in the official like for the last 30 years. So he's working with multiple countries. But so you he's about the framework or the overall. We probably need to see the individual the company's situation. So we are talking about this in the seminar, but from here on, I think we need to deal individually. How you can actually deal with this situation is something that we discuss personally. And also we have the network session after this. So including our experts, we have experts. So if you are interested to ask more specific questions, then please let us know. And also continuously, so if you, I heard about a lot of challenges, so we'd like your support on that as well. Thank you very much. And also the Japanese version, some of the portion is quite weird. So to the participant today, we will be sharing with the organized version. So I'd like you to leverage that as well. And thank you very much all for coming today.
Thank you, Mr. Kapoor, Mr. Sharma, Mr. Takagi. Now, may I invite Mr. Naveed Trumbu, First Secretary Economic, Embassy of India, Tokyo, to deliver the vote of thanks.
On behalf of the Embassy of India in Japan, I would like to thank Her Excellency Madam Nagma Malik for delivering the opening remarks. My profound thanks to the speakers and the expert uh, panelists who presented their views here, Mr. Rajiv Sharma, Senior Advisor, uh, Mr. Shiva Prasad Gude, Mr. Abhinav Kapoor, and Mr. Takagi-san. I'm very thankful to them, and they have explained the provisions, given an overview of the Bureau of Indian Standards in a very succinct and in a very simplified manner, which I'm very sure would have enhanced your knowledge. My thanks to all the audience members. We had a very nice participation from the Japanese and the other stakeholders for this event, and your support encourages us to organize even more of such seminars. I'm sure you would have gained access to some more valuable information. As a panel of experts highlighted, India has been undertaking many reforms to improve the ease of doing business in India. And at the embassy, we organize such events periodically so that you may find it easy to connect with us, connect with the Indian counterparts. We hope that you will continue to participate in the sessions that we have. After this, we will have a networking session outside. We will also have some refreshments, and we hope that if you have any queries, you have any doubts, you can connect to our experts for further networking. Thank you so much, and looking forward to engage with you in future also. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With this, we conclude the event seminar on Bureau of Indian Standards, Regulations, and Landscape. There will be a networking section outside with refreshments. If you have used simultaneous interpretation service, we kindly ask that you return the receivers to the reception desk. Thank you once again for your participation and presence today.